This is the Moonlight Graham Show, a freewheeling conversation with the role players, the underdogs, and guys with flat-out great stories in sports.
Hello and welcome back to the Moonlight Graham Show, where we celebrate the role players, the underdogs, and the great stories in sports. And our podcast today is on vanity license plates in the state of Iowa. Now, I'm not sure if the entire state is like this. Growing up in Fort Dodge, I sure don't remember vanity license plates being like a problem or being something that was in my face all the time. It was really a novelty growing up, seeing a vanity license plate. I still can remember, some of my friends, their family would have license plates and they would number them off by the number of car, like flat 1, flat 2, flat 3 for the numbers of cars in the family. But for whatever reason, vanity license plates, as our world has become more self-absorbed, have become more and more prevalent. And I feel like I am living in the world headquarters of vanity license plates. So living in Des Moines, Iowa, central Iowa, it's like the melting pot, the mecca of vanity plates, because you've got Hawkeye fans making up about 50% of the, of a metro of about 500,000 people. And then the other half is Cyclone fans. And naturally there's this constant war going on all the time, this Cy-Hawk battle, and it has bled over into our cars. And so if you're driving around, it is almost impossible to make a trip to the store, a trip to the gas station, to drive to work without seeing, I'm not even kidding, 15 to 20 vanity plates, most of them being Cyclone and Hawkeye vanity plates. In central Iowa in particular, it is just crazy. So today's episode is about vanity license plates. I spent a few weeks researching this in preparation for this episode. I've always kind of had it on my mind, wanting to do an episode on this for the pod. So here it is. The Moonlight Graham Show digs in to vanity license plates. Moonlighters, are you or someone you know moving down to Kansas City? Well, if you are, the one realtor that we trust and yet you need to be calling is the great Brian Sandvig. As you well know, Brian Sandvig is our producer here on the podcast, and there is not a better residential real estate advisor down in the Kansas City marketplace than Brian Sandvig. Call Brian Sandvig, shoot him a text. Hey, DM us on social media. We'll get you connected with Brian if you can't find him on all the socials, but he is there and he is active, and he is your Kansas City realtor, so give him a call. All right, so when I had in my head that I was going to do an episode on license plates, I thought I'm going to go out there and I'm going to drive around for a month of time, and I am going to write down every vanity license plates I see. So I'm not talking about just the college plates, right? So you see the Hawkeye plates, you see the Cyclone plates. I'm also talking about just the regular vanity plate. So there is a difference between a specialty plate, and what a specialty plate is like your Hawkeye plates, your Cyclone plates, your Northern Iowa plates. That would be a specialty plate. But then the vanity plate is also when you have decided what your license plate is going to say. So for this, I really wanted the vanity plate. So I was tracking, I went out there with the intention of writing down every plate for a month. And I was keeping separate categories for Hawkeye plates, for Cyclone plates, for all the other colleges that I would see, as well as the vanity plates as well. So I had a different category for each one. And what I found was there are just so many of them in Des Moines. I mean, I know I did some research, and in the state of Iowa, just over 10% of the license plates in the state of Iowa are either vanity plates or specialty plates. So it's a relatively low number. But I would argue, and I would love to see the numbers, on the Des Moines metro itself, or at least in kind of the West Des Moines area of the metro, I'm not kidding, it's got to be close to 50%. It's got to be close to 50%. I would say the concentration of vanity plates in the state of Iowa, almost 90% of all the vanity plates have to be in the Des Moines metro, because you cannot drive to work without running into 15 to 20 of these every time. So when I was going out there trying to write down the plates, I mean, it was totally distracted driving. As an insurance guy, this was everything that you should not be doing, because every time I would see a plate, I would have my phone in my right hand and I'm trying to, type down the vanity plate into a notes app while I'm driving. This lasted a grand total of 10 days. So I was able to do it for 10 days. And then on that 10th day, what I was finding is, because there are so many plates, so many vanity plates, I was looking at almost every car and trying to read their vanity plate. And you can tell what happened. At one point, I ran a red light and almost got in a car accident because I was trying to read a vanity plate for a car on the other side going the opposite way on a boulevard. And I thought, you know what? This isn't worth it. I've already written down probably 300 to 400 of these license plates into my notes app. This is a good enough sample size to build a podcast on. So it's incredible. I am not the person, I don't totally get vanity license plates. And I'm not the person that really wants to have, my name tag, if you will, on the front of my car. So everybody knows if they see my car, they know it's me in the car. Frankly, I would much rather have a nondescript car, a used Toyota Camry, a nondescript license plate. The plates that I have are going to be the state issue, most boring plate that you can have, and I'm going to have a randomized number on my plate. I am just fine with that. I realize I'm not like everybody, and a lot of people want to show that they are a Hawk fan, they are a Cyclone fan, they are a doctor, they are a douche, so there are a lot of other things. And I say douche because one of my categories, what I found is, over the 400 license plates that I collected, I kind of broke them into four main categories. So of course you have your Hawkeye plates and your Cyclone plates. Most of those plates fall back into a sports fandom, right? So the Hawkeye plates are going to say something like Off to Kinnick. The Cyclone plates are going to say something like Sci-Fam or Hilton Magic, something along those lines. So that is my sports fans. You have your Cyclone fans, your Hawkeye fans, and then you also have like the Pack Daddy and the Steelers 75 and Go Cubs Go, so different sports fans. That's all kind of in my top sports category. The second category that you have is you have the nice car category, and that's also my douche category. So those are the cars, and I'll get into this, that, it's a Porsche, it's a Lamborghini, it's a very high-end sports car, and their license plate has something to do with going fast or being rich. My third category is golfers. So a big enough category in its own right that a single sport, golfers, are kind of dominating the sports realm when it comes to vanity license plates. And I have probably, 20 different golf license plates that I wrote down. And the fourth category, so we have sports fans, we have nice cars, we have golfers, and then the fourth one is just kind of overall people want them to know that they are weird, right? So it's Star Wars fans, it's Harry Potter fans, it's Game of Thrones fans, it's just kind of weird license plates and funny ones. And that's kind of its own category there. So those were the four main categories of what I saw. But as I was researching this, I was thinking, man, I travel a lot for work. And it's never on my radar to be looking at other license plates in other states. You're always playing the license plate game when you're on the highway. That's something that every kid did on every road trip. But I never can remember seeing a lot of vanity plates in other states. So I went up to look it up and to see if other states allow for vanity license plates. And sure enough, all 50 states in the United States do allow for vanity license plates, including Washington, D.C. Virginia is the state with the highest overall concentration of vanity plates. So almost 20% of the cars in Virginia have a vanity plate. It directly correlates with the price in Virginia to get a vanity plate. So in Virginia, it only costs $10 to get a vanity license plate. In the state of Iowa, it costs $50 and then an annual $5 renewal on that vanity plate. In some states, California, Texas, it can run up to $200 based on what they want in the state. And ultimately, the concentration of vanity plates in those states is directly correlated with how much money it costs to get one, right? If Iowa dropped its price from $50 to $5, you'd probably see 80% of the plates in Iowa have vanity plates. So all states do offer them. Virginia is the number one. I've got to imagine, even though only 10% of the plates in Iowa do have vanity plates in the Des Moines Metro, and please back me up on this. If you live in the Des Moines Metro, if you travel through there, keep an eye out for it. I cannot be the only one that has noticed this. So as I'm looking up the type of vanity plates in Iowa, like I've mentioned already, you find a lot of Iowa ones. I mean, frankly, in the Des Moines Metro, I would say over half of the vanity plates in Iowa are Iowa Hawkeye license plates. I would say 30% of them in the Des Moines Metro are Cyclone plates, and then the other 20% are some smattering of just a regular vanity plate or another college that you see. And, I'm seeing colleges like Dordt, I'm seeing Grandview, I'm seeing Simpson, I'm seeing Central, and I'm like, man, can you just get every college? Like, can I get an Iowa Central Community College license plate? So I went to the Iowa DOT website, and I came to find out that there are 81 different types of specialty plates in the state of Iowa. This is ridiculous. And I get it's probably some form of small money maker for the state of Iowa, so they want to expand it as far as possible. But 81 different specialty plates is kind of insane to me. You know, they just rebranded the state plate maybe 3-4 years ago, and they included these all black plates now, which also I think are kind of lame. And at that same time, they really expanded the amount of specialty plates, but 81 is just kind of crazy. So listen to the list of colleges and universities you can get a specialty plate in the state of Iowa. So you got Allen College, Briar Cliff, Buena Vista, Central, Clark, Co., Cornell, DMU, Dordt, Drake, Graceland, Grandview, Grinnell, Iowa Wesleyan, Loras, Luther, Morningside, Mount Mercy, Northwestern College, Palmer Chiropractic College. You can get a Palmer Chiropractic College license plate. It's kind of crazy. St. Ambrose, Simpson, Dubuque, Upper Iowa, Wartburg, William Penn, Iowa State, Iowa, UNI. So you cannot get an Iowa Central one. I think after doing this episode, if I had the chance to get an Iowa Central one, I probably would do it just to kind of be funny. But also, going back, I don't really want people to know it's my car driving around, especially cops. So I probably will never get a Vanity license plate. I will say 3 years ago, my mom did get my dad a Vanity plate. So my mom's Christmas present to my dad 3 years ago was a Iowa State Vanity license plate. So they're, Hawkeye, cycling, basketball, and football season ticket holders now. My dad's a, former Iowa State baseball player. He's the all-time strikeout leader. If you don't remember that episode, go back to the very beginning. He's the all-time strikeout leader at Iowa State. So my mom got my dad a Vanity license plate. And it said Cy K Leader. So C-Y-K, K for strikeout, and then L-D-R, Cy K Leader. And I remember my mom was texting us at the time of what the Vanity plate should be for my dad. And my brothers and I and my sister, we sent my mom a bunch of different options. I don't remember if Cy K Leader was ever one of them. She didn't go with our recommendations. I think it's a great plate. My dad likes the plate. My one critique of the plate was it kind of sounds like Cycle Doctor, right? C-Y-K-L-D-R, Cycle Doctor. Like, does that guy fix bikes? That's another interpretation of Cy K Leader. But, my mom had different thoughts about it. So going back, I wrote down these 400 different Vanity plates. And there's some good ones. There's some bad ones. So starting with the Iowa plates, which the large majority, I would say over half of the plates in central Iowa are Iowa Hawkeye license plates. I think the top one. So I'll start with the best. My all-time favorite plate, and this one actually, I'm not going to say where they work, but I see it in a parking lot, and it's Tate to Holloway. So it's T8, the number 8, the number 2, and then HLWY, Tate to Holloway. And this is kind of the perfect Hawkeye plate because you have to be a Hawkeye fan to get it, right? It refers to Drew Tate passing to Warren Holloway on a Hail Mary at the end of a bowl game against Nick Saban's LSU to have one of the best endings in bowl history. It's about 20 years old now. But if you are a Hawkeye fan, you immediately understand that plate, that play. And also, it's kind of, once someone has that plate, no one can else have that plate. And so it's the perfect Iowa Hawkeye plate. I think my second favorite Hawkeye plate that relates to sports was just Fry era. So it's, relating to the Hayden Fry era, F-R-Y-E-R-A, Fry era. And I just thought it was funny because if you got a Vanity plate, you probably got it within the last 20 years. And Hayden Fry hasn't coached in 20 years. So this guy wants to have a Hawkeye plate. He loves the Hawkeyes so much that he has one. But he also wants people to know that he's more of a fan of the Hayden Fry era that was 25 years ago rather than the Kirk Ferentz era, who's, clearly, had as good or better of a career than Hayden Fry. I just thought that was funny. That one made me laugh, and it's maybe a typical Hawkeye plate. My number 3 favorite Hawkeye plate was Eastbound and Down. So it's EBN Down, EBN. So it's a great HBO show, Eastbound and Down, a great HBO baseball show, Kenny Powers, right? But if you're living in central Iowa and you are heading to Kinnick Stadium to go tailgate, then of course you're heading eastbound, right? So it's not only a great Hawkeye plate, it's not only a great pop culture reference, but it's true. Like, hey, we're heading eastbound. We're heading to Iowa City. We're going to tailgate. I thought those were my 3 favorite Hawkeye plates. Of course, kind of the main themes you see with Hawkeye plates overall are kind of off to Kinnick. So you see Kinnick spelled in 100 different ways. A lot of wave plates. So the Iowa wave in recent years has gained a lot of traction. So the Kinnick, the wave, overall it's like Hawk fan, Hawk football. Football is the definite dominant theme amongst Hawkeye fans. You see some wrestling themes, very few Hawkeye basketball themes. The biggest would be, the Hawk football, and then also people like maybe saying Hawk fan and their graduation year or Hawk and graduation year. Those were the big ones. A couple other non-sports related Hawkeye plates were Sorry I Party. So SRYIPRT, Sorry I Party. I thought that's just a great license plate. And then there was also a kind of a pop culture reference on a Hawkeye plate that was Get Busy Living. So GTBZLVN, Get Busy Living. And for those fans that are Shawshank fans, it's just a great license plate. And I had to stare at it. It's one of those license plates that you have to stare at for maybe 30 seconds before. I know that says something. Let's see if I can decode it. So Get Busy Living was a really good one. The other kind of downside of the Hawkeye plate that I saw, so you hear a lot from Hawkeye fans that Cyclone fans are always the one with Hawkeyes in their head. But if you look at the license plates, it might actually be the other way around. So I didn't see one Cyclone plate that said, for the Hawks too, for Hawks too. But I saw a lot of Hawkeye plates that had a reference to Cy in it. So I saw a Cy Huntin license plate, right? So it's like we're hunting Cy. But I also saw a For Clones 2 license plate. So it's like a guy that has a Hawkeye license plate, but wants people to know that he's a Cyclone fan too. I also saw a For Cy 2 license plate. So it's a Hawkeye plate, but For Cy 2. I thought that was really interesting. I saw another Hawkeye plate that said For Huskers 2. So it just kind of boggles my mind that someone would have a Hawkeye specialty plate and then also want people to know that they're a Nebraska or a Cyclone fan as well. That just kind of boggles my mind. So that kind of wraps up the Iowa plates, which, like I said, large majority. Shout out to Hawk fans. They're loud. They're proud. Iowa State fans, the second biggest category here. I would say the main themes among Cyclone fans, number one was almost everything has a Cy relation to it. So it's psychotic, it's scientist, it's scientific, it's fishing for Cy, it's, some type of Cy Fam 4, and it's Cy, and then the graduation year. So, Cy 5 was another one. So a lot of Cy references, of course, throughout the Cyclone ones. The other big theme was Hilton Magic. So unlike Hawkeye fans, I saw very few, Carver plates for Hawkeyes, but Hilton was the big one. Jack Trice, Hilton were the big themes in the Cyclone plates. My favorite ones, I had 2 clear favorites with Cyclone plates. The first one was Mayor. So if you're a Cyclone fan of my age, you grew up with Fred Hoiberg as your number 1 all-time Cyclone, and this guy just has Mayor on his license plate. And Fred Hoiberg's nickname, of course, was Mayor. I think the license plate that maybe one-upped Mayor, in my mind at least, was it was almost the exact same plate, but it had an extra R on the end. So it was May or. And once again, it's kind of a deep cut as a Cyclone fan. You have to know that it's a reference to Fred Hoiberg, but also Johnny Orr, because it ends in ORR. So Johnny Orr, one of the most legendary basketball coaches, legendary coaches in Iowa State history, it's referencing him at the end. So it's not only a Hoiberg plate, but it's a Johnny Orr plate. That was probably my favorite Cyclone plate. I saw another one that I really liked. It's non-sports related, but on a Cyclone specialty plate was Best 7 Years. So it was BEST 7, the number 7, and then YRS, Best 7 Years. I found it hilarious because, of course, there's no med school at Iowa State. So if you went to Iowa State for 7 years, this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, making fun of themselves. There's very little self-awareness a lot of times when it comes to vanity plates. This one had some self-awareness in it, and I really liked it. Some other Iowa State vanity or specialty plates that I liked that were non-sports related. I saw one that just said Cow Wagon, COWWGN, Cow Wagon. I love that. I saw Weather Alert, which kind of is, I guess, sports related because it's referring to the, cyclone warnings that they play before Hawkeye. I keep saying Hawkeye. Cyclone football and basketball games. So it was WX Alert. Pretty good one. Saw Sci 5. I think my favorite Cyclone's specialty plate that was non-sports related, though, was it was a big black truck. And the plate said red truck. And it just made me laugh. It's like, did this guy buy a plate when he had a red truck and then he got a black truck and he just kept the plate the same? Regardless, it made me laugh because it's a huge, kind of obnoxiously black truck, like black rims, black wheels, blacked out, windows, big black truck, and it just says red truck in the license plate. That made me laugh. Good on you. So that's kind of our main sports categories. Of course, you see, like I said, Packers plates, Cubs plates, Steelers plates. I saw some Twins plates, saw Yankees plates, saw some Chicago Blackhawks plates, actually. New York Ranger. I saw a New York Ranger hockey plate. A lot of sports plates, of course. So my second category after sports was nice cars, right? So I'm kind of categorizing this as the douche plate as well. Because if you're driving a nice car, like we get it. But there's one side of it, right? It's kind of like I want that person that has the nice car to also kind of be a douche. And so I kind of want them to lean into it. So I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but it's, if you go back to like the Adam Sandler movie, The Wedding Singer, right? There's that Bob Guglia that almost marries Julia Guglia that has the really nice Porsche. I think his license plate said like Sizzle on it. And he's exactly who you expect them to be. Same kind of things when you see a high-end flashy sports car. You almost want that person to be a little bit douchey and to have the plate on it as well to verify that they are kind of a douche. And so as I was writing down the plates, I was keeping an eye out for these type of cars, the really nice ones. And so the ones that I saw were a really nice Porsche that said work hard. So WRK, hard, work hard. And it's like, I don't know if that's kind of a joke, or if he's actually like, hey, I worked for every inch of this car to afford this car. Regardless, it's kind of, an eye roll. I saw a Murdered Out, so it was a black Mustang, black wheels, black rims, black windows, black car, and it just said Murdered Out, which is kind of perfect because a black Mustang is the exact type of person that you expect to have a vanity plate. I saw a Lamborghini, big flashy blue Lamborghini with Epic on it. I saw an all-black kind of Tokyo Drift car with rated R, so R8D, R rated R. And then you have like the fast category amongst these cars. So it's like the Porsches, the Lambos, the Bentleys that say like never late, I'm ahead, I'm late, super fast, why go slow? Corvette would be another category in there. And I did see a Bentley that said self-made was its plate there. And so you just got to laugh. And I know I'm calling it the douche category, but I'm kind of tipping my cap to these people as well. It's like, you've got a great car. You've also leaned into it by having, kind of that vanity plate that goes with the car. So I am going to tip my cap a little bit to it. The other kind of category that kind of fits into the nice car category is the Tesla category. So almost every Tesla you see has some form of vanity plate that goes with it. A lot of them relate back to them being an electric vehicle. So that wraps up kind of my douche category. The golf category. So this is a category in its own right. And it's amazing the golf culture, how it's really exploded in the Tiger era here. And, you drive around my area and golf, outside of sports, outside of the nice cars. I mean, really the golf category is bigger than the nice car category. But the ones I wrote down were back nine, on and two, golf DSM, Dr. 3-putt, mulligan, golf art, swing hard, hole in 9, hate to 3-putt, 1 iron, slice, 1 putt, and I 3-putt. So most of those are a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Like, we get that you golf, but it's the 3-putt, right? So there's 3 different plates that I saw that have a reference to 3-putting. I think kind of the douchey ones out of that category are on and 2. No, you're not. And then 1 putt, right? So 1 putt, it's like everybody, kind of the general theme amongst golfers is you always say that you're worse than you are, because you're not Tiger Woods. There are so many great golfers in this world. There's always somebody better. So if you're just the club pro here in town, don't have the 1 putt. Don't have the on and 2 plate, because you're just good in your own little bubble here. But once you get out of that bubble, you're not any good. So I just whatever to the golf ones. I prefer the 3-putt ones to the 1-putt ones. I think that's kind of obvious. And then my last category is the weirdo category. So like I said, you saw a lot of you saw a lot of, pop culture and just people that want other people to know that they are a Thrones fan, a Magic fan, by like weird Magic stuff. But I also saw some pop culture ones. So I saw, Use the Force was a Star Wars one. Gold Leader, Star Wars reference. Iowa Jedi, Wonder Woman. There was a Terminator, 99 Problems, Dark Knight, 3 different iterations of Pearl Jam, Narnia. I saw a plate that said Narnia, Hermione. So lots of different kind of weirdo ones. I think my favorite weirdo one that I saw was just a license plate that said vacuum. And it made me laugh because it took me back to when I was in like 3rd and 4th grade. I went to grade school with a kid named Nick Shrunk, who's actually the head of movies at Red Bull. So he like makes documentaries, like crazy sports documentaries for Red Bull now. And in like 4th grade, I still remember him saying when he got a car, his license plate was going to say vacuum on it because it has back-to-back U's, and he just thought that was funny. And it's always stuck with me because I remember in 4th grade thinking how weird that was. And then I actually saw a license plate with the plate that was vacuum. And I thought, man, that's got to be Nick Schrunk's car, but it's not. So my all-time favorite one was vacuum. I saw a Bonanza license plate I thought was kind of funny. I saw a Corvette that had I'm a Nerd on the plate. Thought that one was funny as well. Overall, my favorite weirdo category or weirdo plate, which also blends into the sports category, was just a plate that said JK Sigma. So Jack Sigma, the famous Seattle Supersonic 1970s, 1980s ABA, NBA player, Jack Sigma. There is a car in Des Moines with Jack Sigma. And I thought, man, I hope that guy listens to this podcast because it's the perfect license plate, right? It's funny. It lets the people know that you're into sports, and it's just kind of the really, really good plate. I want to know the story behind the Jack Sigma license plate. I think my plate that I saw that has made me think the most was a plate that said Future CFO. So it was FUTR CFO. Future CFO. And you think about that plate, you get that plate probably when you're in college and you're a finance major, I'm guessing, and you're saving money because you're going to buy your first car. So you buy your first car, you get the vanity plate on top of it. You're majoring in finance, so you get Future CFO on the plate. But what happens when you become a CFO? Like, is your plate going to be CFO then? Because that's like a really douchey plate. But future CFO, it's like, well, if you're working at a company now and you're not the CFO, and then the CFO sees your plate every day when you come into the office, what's he going to think? That you're just trying to take his job? It's just kind of a bizarre plate to have, future CFO. If your goal is to become the CFO, I get that you want that on your plate, write down your goals and all that stuff. But if it's future CFO, what happens when you actually achieve it? And then you have to change your plate because now you're a vanity license plate guy. So you have to get a new vanity plate. But then since you're trying to take someone else's job, it's actually hindering your chances of becoming a CFO. So what are you doing with future CFO? It's probably the worst plate that I saw. Even worse than all the douchey plates that I named, even worse than the 4 Psi 2 Hawkeye license plate, future CFO. Whoever you are, you need a new license plate. It's a bad plate. Anyway, if you have a vanity plate, tweet at us, send us a note on Facebook. I'd love to hear your reasoning behind why you got a plate, the story behind it. Would love to hear it. I'd love to hear from people in the Des Moines metro area that see the same type of plates that I do on a day-to-day basis and wonder, is this a common topic? Am I the only one that has seen this? Other people have had to notice. I think it's a little bit out of control, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, that was my take on the vanity plates in Central Iowa. Have a great week, Moonlighters.
It's Moonlight Graham, yeah. It's a pretty good program, broadcasting to the heartland. Sports stories for the everyman. It's Moonlight Graham, yeah. Please follow us on Instagram. You're loving us on Twitter too. You download every pod we do. It's Moonlight Gray.